everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm Sabrina Hill, School Board Member of District 7, and I just want to thank everybody, CCPS staff, and everyone who came out to participate. I want to acknowledge Representative Rhonda Berneau, who is here, here to support. She's always here. I want to acknowledge our Youth Life Center CEO, Ms. Winston and Ms. Klingsdale, for being here with me today. And I have two of my Advisory Council Committee members. If you'll come on up, I just want to introduce them because they're instrumental when we're having our meetings and what the public want, what that looks like, and how we can better serve. So I have Ms. Scott here, and then I have Prada. Prada is a senior at Forest Park High School, and it is just such a joy to have her a part of our committee, because I feel like in whatever we do, we need a student's voice. We need the actual student involved in how we serve them and what we do. They are our customers, and I love having her be a part of our Advisory Council Committee. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone for being here. Your support means a lot, and I'm just always, I always enjoy sharing information with our community on what we're doing here in the district. We're doing a lot of great things. There's been some changes, great changes, and I want our parents and our scholars to know, hear, and be informed. And so we'll continue to have these town hall meetings. We want our community to have some input. So as you learn of what we're doing, please fill out any surveys that may come through your schools, anything that may come from the district, because it's important that we know what you need and what you want, because that's how together we become more powerful, and together we ensure our scholars are high performers. So thank you. I'm going to turn it over to our Dr. Smith, our superintendent, and he's going to take it from here.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Thank you all. Appreciate that. Thank you, Representative Berneau, for being here. As Mrs. Hill stated so eloquently, she talks the talk and walk the walk. She's totally supportive of Clayton County Public Schools. I'm so glad she's in the role that she's in now, because we have a voice in very powerful, important places. So I want to personally thank Representative Berneau, who's been a friend of mine for many years, and I'm so appreciative for her for always supporting not just Mrs. Hill's initiative, but all of Clayton County's initiative. So thank you, ma'am. I also want to say thank you to these great community folks here, Mrs. Winston and Mrs. Klingsdale. We appreciate what they're doing, and if you ever have an opportunity, I would ask for them to invite you out and check out their New Life Center over on Valley Hill and over in the Riverdale area, doing amazing work. If we can duplicate these ladies and spread them all around the community with the assertiveness that they provide in terms of their passion and their commitment to the students and the families, oh boy, we'd be on the moon. And so I just want to thank y'all for the tremendous work that you do. And of course, I want to thank Mrs. Hill for being just a superb board member, just so dedicated to this community, so passionate about what she's doing. Just want to see so many children succeed. Yes. End of the day, that's what it is. It's not about her getting recognition or anything. It's about making sure that families succeed and have awesome opportunities. So I want to thank her, and I want to thank the board for believing in me and appointing me as the interim superintendent a few weeks ago. They've been very supportive with our new administrative initiatives, and we certainly do appreciate that. So I'm going to share just a little bit, because let me tell you something. We might have a small number of people present tonight, but I guarantee you the message will reach hundreds by the time these folks finish with it. Yes. I guarantee you that. So in essence, we got a room full of folks, Mrs. Hill. I want you to know that, because they're going to get the message out for us. I guarantee you that. So Dr. Delphia Young, she's our new Deputy Superintendent for Teaching and Learning, along with her trusted colleague, Assistant Superintendent Dr. Ebony Lee, and others. We have Dr. Colbert, who's our Chief Officer for Student Services and members of his team. I have Mrs. Rice, who's a community person and just a kind of a personal assistant to the superintendent, ensuring that I'm where I'm supposed to be and doing what I'm supposed to do and being involved with the things I'm supposed to be involved with. I can't thank Mrs. Rice enough for always supporting me and being there for me. And all of my colleagues, the communication department, Randy, Jackie, the whole team, the folks from communities and school, everybody. You know, I appreciate everybody. We're a solid team here, and we're going to do, as Mrs. Hill stated, some amazing things. Now, my little concept that I've been going around talking about is a family buying a new house, you know, and kind of starting over. And so you buy a new house, you get new furniture, and hopefully you got a happy couple and family within that house. That's kind of what we're doing, philosophically speaking. I'm going to talk about the new house. Dr. Young and her team, they're going to talk about that new furniture that we're going to put in there called new programs, new initiatives, new ideas, new practices, all of those kinds of things. And Mrs. Hills talked about the staff, ensuring that we got a happy family, making certain that their needs are met. This is a tough job we're in, making certain that they're properly compensated, making certain that we're properly calling them what they should be called, and giving them their proper titles and their due respect. That's that happy piece, that happy family piece. But my role tonight is to talk a little bit about that new house, because we're going to need your help. We're going to need your help, Mrs. Clingsdale and Mrs. Winston. And our attorney's name is Winston Denmark, so that's why I keep trying to throw that Denmark thing in, you know. And so excuse me for that. So I need for y'all to really be vital communicators and helping us spread this message, because all of this stuff, this new house, we got to get it approved through the bank. We got to get a mortgage loan. You know who grants a mortgage loan for us to have this new house? The citizens. The citizens. So we need for you to go out there and tell the community about our creditworthiness, so we can ensure that we land this loan, so we can move this great family into this beautiful new house that we're getting ready to build. Okay? Now, S.P.L.O.S.T, Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, happens every 5 years. And we're up for it again March the 21st of this year. Just 2 months away. We got a big decision to put in front of the community, and we're hoping they're going to affirm what we're asking of them. And it's important when you carry this message out to the community that you emphasize that when they go out to vote for the S.P.L.O.S.T initiatives, it's not asking for any additional money. It's a continuation of that penny sales tax. It's a continuation. We're asking the community. We've had this sales tax in place for 30 years because we've had 5 S.P.L.O.S.Ts passed. 6 actually, I'm sorry, 6. And we need for them to understand that we're not trying to burden the community or the taxpayers or the homeowners with any additional money. This is a shared expense. This is a shared collection of money. You buy goods and services in this community. Travelers from South Georgia that come in and get gas and stop and get whatever. Folks from other places who come and buy cars and furniture and stop at our mall and shop and our eateries. That's how we get this done. It's a shared responsibility of not just the community members, but the entire metro area and the travelers that come back and forth through Clayton County. No additional burden. It's important that they understand that, because when they see this big number, they're thinking, oh, my property taxes, oh, my money I got to do. And what we can't allow to happen, ladies, team, is for this to not pass, and we be the only community in the metro Atlanta that has not passed their S.P.L.O.S.T initiatives over the past couple of years. During this big election cycle, multiple S.P.L.O.S was on the ballot. Everybody in the metro area, including communities that had older citizens, because a lot of times some of our senior members are not connected to the schools because they don't have children or grandkids, and so they're not apt to consider more taxes being levied toward them. But even those citizens came out and voted to the affirmation of those S.P.L.O.S within the communities around the metro Atlanta area. And a lot of those folks are in better shape than we are. We can't be the district. We can't be the community that does not pass this important piece of referendum in order for our kids to get the things that we need for them to have. Now, it's no secret that we got an aging infrastructure here in Clayton. You ride around to other communities, Henry, Fayette, whatever, their facilities are more impressive than ours, for the time being, okay? And we have to acknowledge that. So we have to get the citizens to understand, in order for us to catch up, this is the option. This is the option right here. So I'm going to go through a few things to show you what we're asking them to approve. Now, expand this a little bit. Let me focus on this section right here. Projection planning. Particularly y'all, can y'all see these numbers?
Yes.
So we're currently in the S.P.L.O.S 6. 5-year period, remember I said 30 years? This is the 6th one that we're still in, but we're getting ready to, that one is getting ready to have an expiration date in another 2 years. So we want to make certain that we get this approved and know that we got a means in which we have funding coming in so we can get all of these projects that we're trying to get done. So currently in S.P.L.O.S 6, we have $120 million left. When we took this to the community 3+ years ago, we asked them to approve $280 million. And out of that $280 million, we spent it down to $120 million. So we have $120 million left in S.P.L.O.S 6. We're asking the community. This is a different ask this time. Normally we ask for the S.P.L.O.S to be approved for one cycle of 5 years. This time we're asking for 2 cycles of 10 years. So you see S.P.L.O.S 7 and you see S.P.L.O.S 8. And remember I told you the first one, S.P.L.O.S 6, we asked for $280 million. Well, we collected way more than that. Now, and the reason we took this up to $350 million, we feel based on the collections that are coming in thus far and those patterns that we can collect up to $350 million. If we happen to fall short, it's not the end of the world. But if we don't ask for $350 million and continue to ask for $280 and we collect, say, $330, now $50 million we're limited in how we can spend it, mainly to retire debt. And we don't want to find ourselves in that situation. So nobody's going to jail if we don't collect $350 million. That just means a recession or something happened economically that didn't get us to that number. But that's why we're asking for it. But we feel based on the current trends that we'll be able to collect it. And we have a balance of $30 million, other monies that we get from the state and other places. We have reimbursements from the Department of Education for $35 million, and we have county investments of $10 million. That gives us a total of $895 million, nearly $1 billion worth of stuff that we're getting ready to do. Now, let me show you what that stuff is. Now, all right. A lot of stuff, y'all. When I tell you we're about to build a new school system, we're about to build a new school system. Now, what we've done already underway is the construction for the new Forest Park Middle School. we're committing $65 million. Now, we're not gonna spend that much money on every school that we address. But some schools, because they've just suffered for so long, Forest Park Middle is one of those schools. So, Forest Park Middle almost was put on the national registry, historic registry, while we still had students in the building. It's that old. You know? And so we're gonna do something special for that Forest Park community and many other communities. So we got them a nice, swanky $65 million school. And not to mention, because there's not a lot of land space to build out, we had pretty much demolished what's on campus and build up. So that's what we're doing for Forest Park. Our Student Convocation Center has a price tag of about $85 million for a total price tag of $95, but $10 million will be coming from the county government. The Clayton County Commissioners have agreed to partner with the school system and build our own convocation center. Now, if you've been around long enough, you know that generally we go down to the Georgia International Convention Center or the Georgia World Congress Center or other big box venues in order for us to host our graduation programs, because nobody does graduations outside hardly anymore. The weather patterns have shifted so much to where if you try to have a graduation program at the end of May, early June, it's going to be a horrible experience for those families. You know, and we recognize that, as have many districts around the world. And so most folks do it inside now. And instead of giving other places, you know, $800,000–900,000 every time we decide to have one of these events, we decide to build our own. Now, of course, if you do the math, you know, if we're paying $800,000 a year and it has a price tag of $85 million, you know, it takes us a long time to recoup that. So we're doing more than just having a facility for our students to graduate from. We're also going to enterprise. We're going to enterprise that bad boy. Miss Winston, Miss Clingston, when I tell you that thing is beautiful, and at some point we're going to show you the design, because we're going to come out and do community meetings and we'll speak more about the design and what it looks like. It's just that Mrs. Hill had multiple items on the agenda, and I didn't want to keep everybody here all night. So I'm going to speed through this thing here in just a second, but I want you to get the gist of what we're getting ready to talk with the community about, and hopefully you'll be able to go with me and Mrs. Hill out to the communities and support, because we can't tell people how to vote. All we can do is inform them. You can point them dead in the face and say, vote for this. We can't do this. Right. And that's what we want you to do. And now, there was a feasibility study done. A very conservative number of 100 concert events can yield the school system a net profit of $10 million. $10 million. That's a low conservative number. And that's not including naming rights and other things that can help generate funding for that for our students. We can do so much more money when we got $10,000 above what we budgeted stuff for. Students have hardships with going and traveling around the world because they got the special talent, but because they don't have the means to get their students, we can pay for stuff like that. We can help our maintenance people who have an inferior retirement system compared to our teachers. The board has agreed to use funding to give them a better retirement system that comes close to those certified staff that got the benefit of having the teacher retirement system. So many other things that we can do with that funding that as a school system we couldn't do. We couldn't pull out of the general fund to get done. We just couldn't do it. But I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. We'll talk about that later. North Clayton High School, $70 million. At North Clayton High School, we're going to have a 9-hole executive golf course because we got 12 golf programs and we got 4 stadiums already. We didn't need to build a 5th, right? And that gives our school system some innovation and a bit of sophistication that no other school district can brag about on the planet. There's a collegial level folks that have a golf course that they have access to, but not a public school system like ours. We're the first. And as a result of that, do you know folks from all around the country have made commitments up to $4 million because they believe in us. They say, you know what, we want to see more people of color, people that are experiencing economic challenges participate in golf. And we're going to ensure, because y'all have went through the hassle of investing and building your own golf course, we're going to ensure any student in Clayton County that desires to participate in golf, money will not be the burden. Money will not be the obstacle. Clubs, golfing equipment, attire, all of that stuff, they're going to create a fund that pays for all of that stuff. You see, when you do something special, how folks come to support you, how they come out of the woodworks when they see you doing something special. That's what we're doing. Also in North Clayton, we'll have an indoor track. Closest indoor track is Birmingham, Alabama. Georgia State, Emory, professional athletes, everybody is going to want to come and participate in our track activities. Beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful design. We'll show y'all that at another date. North Clayton, Lovejoy High School, we're going to add a new wing because they're bursting through the seams down there, Ms. Hill. Dr. Colbert, former principal down there, spent many years down there. He knows the plight that they've been experiencing with overcrowdedness. So we're going to not only build a new school or modernized school, we're also going to add an extra wing so we can take that student population up to about 2,800. I don't like big schools. I'm gonna be honest. But for now, that's what we're going to do, and we purchased some land down in that area so when the growth really happens, we can split them off and start narrowing that size down some. The best size of a high school is about 12, 13, 1,400. That's where most families feel most comfortable with. They get kind of lost when they get to be 2,800 and 3,000. So right now, Lovejoy is about 22, and so we expect for them to grow a few more hundred, and we'll be able to accommodate those students. So we got to plan properly. Let me just explain the difference between a modernization and a new build. Anybody seen the new Morrow High School? That's a new build. That's a brand new school. Anybody seen Jonesboro High School? That's a modernization. Morrow High School cost $82 million. Jonesboro High School modernization costs $48 million. You really can't tell the difference between the two. It looks like it's a brand new school. For all intended purposes, it is. $48 million is nothing to sneeze at in terms of trying to make it a whole new environment. And so that's what we did. So we're either going to do new builds or modernization. None of this little renovation stuff where you come in, paint floors, and put carpet in, and new ceiling tiles. None of that stuff no more. We got to be more sophisticated than that. So that's what a modernization is. So when you see a modernization and an addition, same thing with Mount Zion. We're doing a modernization and an addition, but not an addition for more student population. An addition. Is that my time to wrap it up? You told me to do that, Ms. Hill. But anyway, Ms. Hill know I get enthusiastic about this. So I'm gonna wrap all of that. I'm gonna go through. But anyway, so Mount Zion will be modernization and new addition. Riverdale Early Learning Center. We got the design ready. We want you to see it. We want community people to come in. We want to invest in the community coming in and helping us. So if we can be in a position to take overhead off of an organization that provides great support to our students, that's what we're going to do. So I want my staff to see the Early Learning Center design at some point, because I haven't shared it with y'all because we just got it completed the other day. But it gives opportunity for so many organizations that provide social services and other advantages for our students to be housed on site. On site, I'm gonna move on. The Rosenwald School, a historic renovation. I can talk about that, but I'm gonna move on because I don't want Ms. Hill to get mad at me. Athletics, we're going to invest about $20 million. Actually, it's about 20-something million, but the first phase speaks to $12 million investment and $9 million investment for Group B stuff, meaning new baseball fields, new softball fields, new dugouts, new fencing, new sprinkler systems, new bleachers, new rubberized track, turf fields, $350,000 invested in concession stands with restaurants in close proximity for our families and visitors that come and see these events. You get the idea. When you drive on our campus in the spring, it should be a whole new look at all of our high schools in terms of our athletic facilities. That's important to our community. Yeah. So we're going to make sure we be inclusive with that in our build out. Maintenance complex needs a little attention. Central office needs to be updated. Performing Arts Center we're going to invest in to make certain that, and I'll tell you about my meeting today. You're going to be super excited. With the people that are coming to want to use our Performing Arts Center to do these big productions. You know, I went to see the New York City play up in Carr a few weeks ago. We met with the people. They're saying, we want to come to Clayton. We want you in Clayton. So we'll talk about that later. The old Morrow Middle School we're going to modernize. The Riverdale High School, this is the new, we've done a lot of upgrades to it, but I want you to pass by and see a little different feel. So we're gonna invest $500 million in terms of the landscape and how it looks, so I can pull you in, you know? Now, that comes at a cost of $421,700,000, all right? Also within this plan, Mr. Joseph is not here, but Mr. Joseph, he was our Chief Capital Improvement Officer, graduated from Riverdale High School, and he was behind a bus that he wrote when he was in middle school about 3 months ago. And when the bus took off, it like a big old film of black smoke. So that's why we got him on here. 322 new buses. Our fleet is so outdated. We got to address a lot of things, y'all. We got a way to do it. Technology, we got to continue to make investments in. And then we're going to do more renovations and modernizations in terms of our athletics. So that comes at a cost of $97 million. Now, let me go over here. Let me go over here, y'all. I just talked about phase 1, 23 through 25. It's now, that's happening now. In 2 years, we'll have all what I just discussed done. 2 years. Then we start on phase 2, 25 to 28. We're giving ourselves 3 years, but really about 18 to 24 months is kind of what we're talking about. So my point for mentioning that, all of what we're getting ready to do can be done in 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4 years, all of this, and new school system. So the collections coming in equal that amount, the projection costs equal that amount, so we can pay for all this stuff. Now let me show you what we're trying to do with all of that. New Fountain, a new Fountain Elementary School, $35 million. A new Huey Elementary School, $35 million. A new Morrow Elementary, $35 million. A new Suter, $35 million. A new Mondays Mill Middle, $35 million. And if you've seen those schools, you'll realize and have no quarrels about saying they need a new school. Now, let me show you the modernization. BAB, a new $15 million, because we went to BAB probably 4 years ago and did a lot of upgrades, what we call renovations. Then you ride by and you, as a citizen, you don't see no difference. But you go in and there's some things, new roof, new HVAC system, all kinds of kitchen equipment and all that. So we don't really need to start all over. But if we put $15 million on top of what we've already done, we can get that looking nearly new. Like, we go from what a Jonesboro High School looked like to what a Jonesboro High School is now. That's what BAB will look like in anything that has modernizations beside it. So we're going to invest $15 million in BAB. Hendricks Drive, creating an early learning center, $5 million, because our focus is on early education, STEM education, and athletics. So we're trying to make certain that we have a focus with this build out, not just building stuff to be building it. Kemp Primary, Iddins Elementary, $5 million early learning. Kemp Primary, $5 million early learning. Lake City, $5 million early learning. Lee Street, $5 million early learning. Haney, Modernization, 10 million. Haney, 10 million. Arnold, 10 million. Church Street, 10 million. Swint, 10 million. West Clayton, 10 million. Terra, 10 million. Point South, 15 million, because it's a middle school and bigger. Point South Elementary School, 7 million modernization. Adamson, $15 million. Brown Elementary modernization, 7 million. Kilpatrick, 7 million. McGarrett, 7 million. Mount Zion, 7 million. Northcutt, 7 million. Oliver, 7 million. North Clayton Middle School, 5 more million, even though we addressed it not long ago, but when you ride by, we want you to see something new and fresh. Riverdale Middle, 10 million. Anderson Elementary, 7 million. All of this, y'all, all of this. And I'm getting ready to get out of here, Mrs. Hill, for as my mama used to do, throw her shoe at me. Bless her soul. But listen, Forest Park Middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. 36 schools, y'all, addressed in 3 to 4 to 5 years in one fell swoop. That's what I meant by building a new system. And when we flip this, because we won't have any money to address infrastructure for another 12 years. 2 years left on this S.P.L.O.S.T, and the 10 years for the next 2 S.P.L.O.S.T, 7 and 8. But the oldest school that we'll have in our inventory when we finish with this is a school that was built in 1999 and 2000. The oldest school that we have in our inventory would be no more than 35 years old versus 70 years old, which we currently have. We have the majority of our schools that was built in the 50s and 60s. They're 70 and 60 years old. We got to do something about that. We've got to get the citizens to get behind this and pass it so we can make this happen. That's my time, Mrs. Hill. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Smith, and I do share your passion. You know, I love it. I can talk it just like he talks it. I think we've been doing this a couple of times together so much that I get excited. It's what our scholars deserve. It's what our families deserve. And it gives me great joy to share this with our community. It is important that they understand that we see them, we love them, we care, and we're here to ensure that their scholars, every time they're entrusted to us, that they're coming into the best facilities. And so as he said, this is our new home. And now I just want to bring Dr. Lee up so she can talk about the furniture, because like any new home, you want brand new furniture and you want to go to the best place to get it. So Dr. Lee is going to go ahead and share this part with us.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So it is a pleasure to be here, and thank you, Ms. Hill, for the opportunity to share today regarding how we're going to beautifully decorate the home and, of course, share things that we already have in place. I definitely want to acknowledge again our Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Young, who is here to just lead us and help us to new heights. And so just excited to have her on board. And then, of course, I would like to acknowledge little Nyla, which is my little one, because she is in Clayton County, and we definitely want her college and career ready, even though she's only one. But it starts here, right? Yes. So I usually have a presentation clicker, so someone tell me how to do it. Okay. So very briefly, just want to share what we're doing to improve achievement, because that's why we're here. That's why we're a school district. And from there, okay. No, this shouldn't be this difficult. Whatever happened to the overhead projector? We keep advancing.
Is that a PDF?
Thank you. It's a regular. Okay, perfect. Okay. So from our strategic plan, as you all know, all school districts have a strategic plan. And in Clayton County, Dr. Wiley leads our effort, but it's really community involved. And so within that plan, we have 4 main areas that undergird our work with achievement. Definitely academic challenging experiences for our students. Also making sure that we focus on that foundation, the early learning. If Ronick was here, you know, our lead person, our chief with construction, he would tell us that foundation is critical. And then also making sure that our students are perfecting and using purposeful literacy in the classrooms. And we define literacy, the ability to read, write, think, speak, listen very purposefully. You're not just doing it to engage with, you're actually using the information. And then finally, can we do it alone? No, we have to have the village. And that's this, and Ms. Hill, this is a great way of bringing key people together so that we have that village. And so I just wanted to emphasize this highlighted part up here in our vision, that it's not sufficient for students to just graduate. And it's not sufficient for them to just go to some post-secondary training without finishing. And so that pursue and accomplish is critical. So very briefly, when you think about a graduate, what do you think about? What are those skills that he or she would need upon graduating to be gainfully employed and to be a viable citizen and a contributing citizen in the community? So just yell some things out very quickly. What are some of those skills that he or she must possess? Reading. Technology skills, communication skills, financial literacy, very critical. And so as a district, we've consolidated some of those skills into what you see here, and very purposefully trying to make sure, and I heard reading, that literacy piece is critical. And so our current reality, it's no secret that we have work to do, and then the pandemic revealed it even more so. And so post-pandemic, when we look at the percent of students reading on or above grade level, so this is a 4-year trend from 2019 to 2022, the percent who are at or above their reading level for their grade level, we're at 45%. So almost 1 in 5 is reading at or above grade level. And is that sufficient? No. Okay. So what is the type of reading that students have to do? I think it's important for our community members to understand the demands, because sometimes we often resort back and say, when I was in school, or my experience, but I want us to think about our reading right now in the real world and the type of reading that we have to do. And so the Georgia Milestones Assessments, that is the test that assesses the Georgia standards. And in order for students to demonstrate proficiency, they have to have acquired a set of knowledge and skills along the way and be able to read and understand what they're reading. So this is an example, just flashing forth, of a 5th grade item. Later, Randy is going to come up and talk more about the Georgia Milestones, but I think I just wanted everyone to see what is the end in mind for our students. And so this is 5th grade student reading, and these are only 2 out of maybe 10 experiences they have to have on the language arts. And then with science, you see the type of reading. So fast forward, real life, and Dr. Young underscored this point. Think about the documents that challenge you when you're reading, whether they're, or maybe not, maybe you just swift through them, but it could be legal documents, medical documents, mortgage statements, loan things, and what happens, sometimes we like, I'm not reading all of this, or it could be it's very challenging and you need the support. But for a kid who is not reading, that's a very frustrating experience, just like it becomes a frustrating experience from an adult. So we have to have our students and developing those skills along the way through challenging experiences in school, but also at home, they have to be reading as well. So in our school system, when our students take various assessments, we get a reading level called a Lexile. How many of you have heard of a Lexile? We all have one. We all have a range, okay? And then the text also has a Lexile level. And so to our community, to our parents, I want them to know that the reason we really want to monitor our students' readability level is that throughout their educational journey, and as well as into real life, text is going to get more complex. As we just said, some of the documents that are complex to us. And right now, what percent of students are reading at or above their Lexile level? 45% based on the 2022 GMAS. And so this is the range of the scale from beginning reader, and this scale stops at 1,300, but it goes up to 2,000. And your thinking about the driver's manual, which is over 1,100. When you get into college, it's at 1,200 or higher. Your work-based documents, we have to make sure that our students are, again, reading. And we call this the sweet spot, because at least if we know their range, we know what they can read independently with possibly not having so much support. But we want, as they continue reading, just like we build those muscles by lifting more weights, we want them reading more complex material. Okay, so again, students should be reading, and this is in the presentation, which I know we'll share and post, so that our community and parents can get an idea of the range. And again, it's not about this score, it's about our students growing in their reading levels and in their Lexile levels. So if you have children, it will be good to find out how well is your child reading, and make sure they're reading for at least how long each day? At least 30 minutes, and at least 20 minutes. If they read 30 minutes, they'll read at least 1.8 million more words than someone who's not. So that's just more vocabulary that they can bring to those legal documents and medical documents later. Okay, so getting into our 4 focus areas, when you think about academically challenging experiences in curriculum, right now, this is sit and get, right? We're not asking you to do anything. Well, after this, we are going to ask you to do something with it. But if our classrooms are only like this, we know that's not getting our students to where they need to be. They need to be problem solving. They need to be reading complex text. They need to be defending their points, critiquing their points, analyzing. And so our focus is making sure that in our classrooms, we're building the capacity so that these type of experiences can happen regularly. You may hear the term problem-based learning or project-based learning, and essentially you're situating the learning in a challenge. And we know that there's a whole lot of problems that need to be solved. And so we're not incognizant or unknown to that some of our students are going to the grade level with gaps. But what we do know is that if we don't challenge them, those gaps will continue to just grow. And so we have to fill in the gap as we're challenging them with grade level content. And that's why in Clayton County, we have a variety of assessments. We're starting to trim some of those, but we use our assessments to pinpoint our students' need so that we can address them accordingly, okay? And we have coaches, academic coaches in all of our schools who provide the support and training to our teachers, our coaches and instructional support teachers. Okay, so the next focus area, so we have the academic challenging environments that we're continuing to develop, but it's like we having to have a long-term strategy and a short-term. So our long-term is early learning. That is the foundation. And you heard Dr. Smith speak to the fact that we're going to have early learning centers, but this past year, we expanded our pre-K program by adding 10 additional classrooms. So we've gone from 700 or so pre-K students to well over 1,300 students in our district, but we have over 3,000 kindergartners. So we still have a gap there, and some of them, of course, are in private pre-K. But we know that foundation is critical, and what we keep hearing is that that brain is forming so rapidly when they're young. And so if we can get parents and community members and everyone just pouring in those rich reading and singing and talking, all those experiences that really help to amplify and grow our students and solidify that reading ability and learning ability and doing their numbers, etc. So what we're doing, I mentioned the expansion of the pre-K programs. Also in our school districts, we are a science, we teach phonics-based reading. And so I won't go into the details of that, but we explicitly teach our students how to read using a systematic approach. And so we're continuing to develop and implement to make sure that our teachers know how to deliver that level of instruction to the quality that it needs to be. But there's a shift that happens, and some of you may have heard learning to read from K to 2, and then from there, reading to learn. And so we need more of our students to make that switch as they grow from each grade to the next. Okay? And then focus area 3, literacy across the curriculum. I can't think of a program or a classroom where students don't have to read and analyze and develop and write and talk and speak and argue and critique. They have to do that across all classrooms. And so that's a very purposeful effort to make sure that they're doing this in our schools. So purposeful reading, purposeful writing, and purposeful speaking. A favorite question that we want to be asking our students is, how do you know? They need to be able to defend their points. And then the last focus area is, again, a reflection of this evening, making sure that we're all linked in together. We know there are a lot of distractions out there for our youth, things that are trying to infiltrate their success. And if we're locked in together from school, community, home, we can ensure that they truly are college ready, work ready, life ready. And so it does take all of us working together. So I am proud to say that we have a robust district literacy task force that consists of so many team members, and I know Dr. Colbert's on there and some other team members, and we just really try to put access into the home. So if we're saying kids need to be reading, but they don't have books, we got to make sure they have books, whether they're digital or print. And we have little free libraries, you know, the little libraries, you can take a book and leave a book. We have those expanding throughout our school district now with over 20 sites of those located. And then, of course, just providing our students with 24/7 access through tutor services. One particular is tutor.com. So we want all parents to make sure that our students are using it as they need, especially at night for their homework. It's free. They just go into their student portal and they have immediate access to an expert, a subject matter expert. I'm very proud of the work that the math department is doing with putting math into the community through the math trails. You can see examples at Lee Street Park. We just, again, want to make sure that we're closing that gap. And you heard Dr. Smith mention our STEM and STEAM. I think we have some of the best programming here in Clayton County with our STEM and STEAM efforts. And so those are our 4 main areas: academically challenging experiences, making sure we're focusing on early learning, because that 3rd grade is a critical benchmark, really 1st grade, but at least by 3rd grade they need to be reading on or above grade level, literacy across the curriculum, and engaging all of our stakeholders. And I just end by leaving our parents and community members with those 5 P's of how you can partner. Make sure kids know the purpose for why they're coming to school and how that's going to lead. They got to be here every day. They just do. And when they're here, what they should be doing while they're here. And so that's purpose and being present with all the resources at home. And they're having a place where they study and they practice and they use their notes and they write down their questions the next day for the teacher. And they're staying in the loop, making sure the contact information is updated in our systems, because our communications department, they do an excellent job, as well as our principals, with getting information out. And so we just want to make sure that all parents have access and progress monitoring. There's some questions down here that we can pose to our students. What are you learning? What's challenging to you? How can we reinforce and support at home to help you? And so fast forward where we're headed, we're right now schools have after school remediation for our scholars that are in need. They've been targeted. And then we're also planning our summer learning opportunity for our students. And we are looking at a more extended summer learning for this upcoming summer. So parents and community members, just watch out for that. And then again, just ensuring our students are using tutor.com. Are there any questions? If not, Ms. Hill, this concludes our discussion around our focus areas.
Thank you, Dr. See, that's what we like, a firm foundation. I love it. I greatly appreciate it. And again, I just get excited about where we're headed here at Clayton County Public Schools. And I just want to say, next we'll have Dr. Natasha Johnson and Mr. Randy Iddins. And he's going to speak to us about testing. And this will be very informative for our family and our scholars.
All right. Like I said, like Ms. Hill said, my name is Randy Iddins. I'm one of the assessment coordinators for the district. We have 2. Dr. Jefferson cannot be here tonight. I am also a graduate of Clayton County Public Schools, Lovejoy, 1994. So Clayton County is all I know, and it's very near and dear to my heart. A lot of this stuff we're going to talk about today is a summative assessment. So when we talk about summative assessment for us, it's all our national, federal, and state mandated assessments. So they're mandated by the state and federally. And I would like to, my department director, Ms. Johnson is here as well. Georgia Milestones Assessment System, GMAS. So basically, I'm just going to talk about which students are tested. So ELA, grades 3 through 8. Mathematics, grades 3 through 8. Science, grades 5 and 8. High school physical science, EOG, it's now an EOG, grade 8. Social studies, grade 8. And for high school, we went from 8 EOCs down to 4. So these are the 4 EOCs that we have: American Lit, Algebra 1, Coordinate Algebra, Biology, and U.S. History. And again, these are all our state mandated summative assessments. So our GMAS administration, it's primarily online. Just about everybody's online. Technology enhanced items in all grades and courses, open-ended constructed items. We have a written component at every grade level and course within the ELA Arts Assessment. There's a reported Lexile score that you just heard Dr. Lee discuss. And then there's an estimated norm reference performance range for all grades and courses, meaning that they're comparing us nationally. Spring administration dates for CCPS. So these are our dates that we're going to be administering GMAS in the spring. EOG, May 1st through May 19th. For elementary, we have to administer the last 25 days of school. So those first eight days, May 1st through 8th, those are going to be our main administration. The 9th through the 19th is going to be makeups. Middle school EOG, so April 25th through May 14th. Then we have middle school EOC, because we do have some middle schools where we do have students enrolled in those end of course assessments, which are our algebra and biology. Those will be April 19th and April 20th. And then we have our high school EOC, which we always do at the very beginning of the state window in case we have students that need to retake for graduation. So that's April 17th through April 28th. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about those dates? We're all good? All right, good. I like that. That's easy. So Dr. Lee, at the bottom of one of her slides, she had the Georgia Milestone Study Guides. So on our department website, the Department of Research, Evaluation, Assessment, and Accountability, we have all of those guides that are linked to that website. So basically when you click on that, when you go to the Clayton County website, you pull our department's page up. All our links are going to be on the left side here, and we have Milestones Parent Resources and we have Georgia Milestones Student Resources. When you click on those parent resources, we have all of our parent Q&As, the English translation, Spanish translation. We have all of our 22, 23 study guides and resources. And these are really important. Just so you look at them, kids understand what types of questions they're going to have. They have sample reading passages for you to look through, so forth and so on. I'll pull one up really quickly just so you can see what it looks like. The only bad thing about these right now is they're not interactive. They're only in PDF format. But in our last state meeting, moving forward, the 23-24 year, they will be interactive, which will make it easier for parents and students to use. Because right now, printing 154 pages is really not feasible. But they're there. Everything you need to know about that particular grade is embedded in these resources here. I'm not going to go through everything because you need to have an opportunity to sit and play with it. But just know the resources are there for you. And if you ever have any questions or concerns, you can always ask us about those things. So, the next thing I wanted to show you was the Georgia Experience Online, since everything is online for Georgia Milestones. This Georgia Experience Online gives you as the parent and the students exactly what they're going to view online. And it's not, there we go. There we go. So this is going to give you that online test experience where the students can log on. They can look at all the different tools, the tools that students can use. They have the test practice. There's no login information that they have to have to get to these assessments. So just make sure you have your students logging onto that so they can really understand what it looks like and how it feels. Because they do have a lot of universal tools on there that everybody can access, just not our accommodated students. So that's something that they can go on and play with. So they're very familiar with the tools, especially the tracking tools as they're reading online. So that is that for online. And then every year, we always have questions about parent-guardian refusal in regards to milestones. So the state has provided a document here because technically there is no opt-out because they're federally and state mandated. However, you can choose to refuse, but if you choose to refuse, there can be some adverse effects for your students, especially in regards to EOCs, because your end of course tests count as 20% of your course grade. So think about that. If you get a 0 for not taking the assessment, that can really affect your average there. With this parent-guardian refusal, we have it on our website as well, but it goes frequently asked questions for every assessment that we have, what the student assessment program is, and what the adverse effects are. So we try to share that out with all the schools. We ask all the schools to make sure they've shared that with parents as well. Just because you need to know, it's a mandatory assessment. So that's why it sits on the summative side. And that is gonna be it for us. I did put our contact information up here, so if you wanna write that down, we answer emails, we answer phone calls. We like talking to people because sometimes we don't get to talk to a lot of people in the assessment world. So, you know, send that out, whatever, we'll always answer questions and we'll try to be as helpful as we can. So that was it for us. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? All right.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you. A lot of great information here tonight, and I'm so grateful for our CCPS team who came out. And we have our last presenter, and that's going to be our community in schools. That's a new initiative. I'm so excited about it. A lot of good things are happening, a lot of great partnerships, and it is definitely a new and innovative way to think about how we do education. So we have Dr. Colbert coming up and his team, and they'll give us some information on communities in school.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for coming. And I'll be very brief before I turn it over to Mr. Hector Gutierrez to come in and give you more information. As you know, I'm going through a transition from one area of leadership within the district over to student support service. But out of all the things that have been presented to you, from the support side of things, our focus is on the whole child. And when you think and consider the whole child, obviously our number one focus is to remove those barriers to learning and teaching. Think about all those things that prohibit kids from learning, whether it's early learning, whether learning through 3rd grade or even graduating to be college and career ready. Our role and a big emphasis with the use of the community school strategies is really to address the concerns with the whole child and implementing research-based effective strategies in really addressing those things, addressing those barriers to learning and teaching. But Mr. Gutierrez is going to come up on my behalf because I'm just going in and learning. We had a brief meeting before we came in over. That's why we don't have a presentation. We just met. Hey, let's get all this together. Give me much information as possible. But he's just going to come in and share a few brief bullet points about the community school strategy. And there's a difference with community schools and community in schools. We're probably more familiar right now with community in schools, which is more on the dropout prevention side. Community schools is a whole child approach, where we are just think about putting your arms around the entire child in the entire community. whether it's law enforcement, mental health services, social services, you name it. That will be a part of the community schools approach and strategies that we will be placing right now. The pilot will be in 3 areas of the district right now. One will be Forest Park, Lovejoy, and North Clayton. And they will be hubs of resources that will support the needs of the whole child. So I turn it over to Mr. Gutierrez.
Thank you, Dr. Colbert. I appreciate it. All right. So very briefly, this doesn't happen without the support of our district and the innovative thinking of our superintendent and the board in investing into this program. Like Dr. Colbert says, a strategy. So we are starting it off in 3 different locations that have different needs, but definitely more similarities in the needs than there are differences. So when we address the whole child, we are based on our 4 pillars, and everything we do is based on that, which is collaborative leadership and practices, expanded and enriched learning time and opportunities, active family and community engagement, and integrated student supports. So these are 4 things that any type of programming that we do is based off that. Something with the strategy, it's an ongoing thing. Needs don't stop. And we keep addressing the different needs. Our idea would be in these separate cities to have hubs that are going to address these needs. And there's already successful schools that have implemented this strategy and already have living hubs that are living and breathing spaces that people can come in for different type of needs that can be, like we said, when it is the whole child, it can be washing their clothes. It could be an after-school program. It could be a different type of tutoring. It could be workforce development for the parents. It makes me extremely proud to be a citizen of Forest Park, and the reason I'm up here today, not to, I'm not more than any of my team, but I am in Ms. Hill's district, and I'm very excited that you are giving our people information. The testing, all these results, these things don't happen if a child's not ready to go to school and has the appropriate resources and tools. So it's very exciting. I don't know if my team wants to add anything else, but we are now in the beginning phases of it. We are doing the needs assessment, so we're going around meeting with leaders, listening in, and seeing what those needs are. This is not a savior complex, so me and my team are gonna come in your school and tell you what you need. We're going around listening and monitoring and seeing what it is that the needs are from the parents, from the leaders, the people that are already there in the community. So it doesn't happen just with us. It happens in collaboration with the school leaders that invested in this, with our district that invested in this. And it's just really exciting for our district to take the chance into something innovative like this, because it's not happening anywhere. This is a Clayton County thing that we're doing, and we're investing in our children because we understand that these test results just don't happen out of nowhere. We need to reinforce and support the whole child model. So thank you, Dr. Colbert. I don't know if my team, I want to definitely introduce Caleb Obumba out of the North Clayton cluster, and Dr. Shalon Matthews from Lovejoy, and Ms. Rasha Portis, which is district support. She's not here today, but yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all. Thank you, Ms. Hill. Oh, y'all
No,
wanna-
well, I could just say, well, we're definitely excited, and like Mr. Hector said, we are literally, it's about equity of voice. We're really being intentional about the program. That's why it's a process. You gotta trust the process. And it's like you said, building a house, we wanna build a solid foundation so it can be around forever. Because years may change and the barriers may be different, but we always wanna be able to address those needs. And I think we have a committed group. The leadership supports it, and Dr. Colbert landed the plane. Basically, it's about believability and authenticity when we get in front of our stakeholders, when we get in front of our students, when we get in front of our parents, because we're meeting them at their greatest needs and their greatest time. And I had the luxury of working for communities in schools for the past 8 years on their leadership team. So it's good to bring that insight on how to really help eliminate those non-academic and those academic barriers.
And as my colleagues already said, we're gonna make sure that we address those barriers in reference to the whole child. We're gonna make sure that we get the community, the parents involved, and not just community and parents, businesses. We're gonna work on those partnerships. We're gonna get different churches involved, different mental health agencies involved. And again, this is not a new creation that we've invented. These are things that we already have in our county that we're going to dig deep into finding out, are we utilizing these resources that we have? Are we collaborating instead of competing? Are we making sure that we're not utilizing the same efforts to get the same thing done. We want to make sure that we're using what we have to get what we need. And so listening to voices from teachers, and that's another thing, teachers will be able to utilize these community spaces as well, because sometimes we focus on the children and the families, which we need to, but if you're servicing children and families and your needs aren't met, then you're pretty much, you're not doing any good in the position that you're in. So we're making sure that we're meeting all of the needs of everyone in the community, and we're gonna be successful with doing that, with forming partnerships with you guys, and making sure that we listen to your needs and address those needs. So thank you for taking the time out.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming out. This was amazing. This was a lot of great information. I'm super excited about what we're doing here. And it's always a pleasure for me to serve my constituents, my staff members, and everyone in Clayton County. And as we work together, and you hear it over and over again, this is collaborative effort, our community partnerships, and how we are going to make sure we wrap our arms around the whole child. And so I'll just summarize this evening what we talked about. We talked about our E.S.P.L.O.S.T, which will be happening on March 2023. That is imperative. That is how we're going to make all of these great things happen. As Dr. Smith indicated, our schools are 60 and 70 years old. Our scholars in our community deserve the best, and that's what we're offering them today. We talked about our strategic plan for academic achievement. We already know that it's done. We had Dr. Lee to show us where we're headed and how we're going to get there. Anytime you're traveling, you always need a roadmap, and I think we saw that tonight, that we have a roadmap to success. And then we had Randy talk about testing. Testing is something that we cannot get out of. So what do? We prepare our scholars to be successful on those tests. We change the mindset. We make it to be a part of what we do, and we do it well, and we do it with greatness. And then we end it with our community schools. Why? Because we got to do things differently. You cannot do things the same way and want different results. So we had to bring something different into our community. And again, wrap our arms around the whole child, our communities, and be here to support our family and friends. Thank you again for coming out. It's always a pleasure to serve. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.